right, good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight for our special team coverage of the midterm elections.
Yep, as we've done for the last several years, KIDK, Eyewitness News, and Local News 8 have teamed up. So we'll bring you as complete election coverage as we can in the next hour as we wait eagerly for numbers to come in.
Still waiting, yeah.
Still waiting, yeah. Jay Hildebrandt and Katie Kelleher are in Boise, and they're covering the Republican and Democratic parties going on up there. And our Misty Inglet is covering elections in Bannock County.
And we also have teams in Bingham County, Bonneville County, and our newsroom working to bring you the most recent election results tonight. So you can also find all your results, of course, on our websites.
Yes, KIDK.com.
And
localnews8.com.
And check the app as well.
Absolutely, yeah. We always get so frustrated because we want to have the numbers, right now. And we've got such a big election turnout. They could really be late coming in because we're counting more numbers than we usually do. But anyway, we do have two special guests joining us on set too. John Radford is a city councilman in Idaho Falls, and he has participated in and worked with the Democratic Party in Idaho. So he in no way is representing the city council tonight. He is representing the Democratic Party for the state. And Eric Simpson has joined us several times. He's a former Republican legislator from Idaho Falls, and we enjoy having him on because these guys give us a little perspective that we might not have because we have no opinions. We have no opinions here, none, because that's how professional reporters are. So.
All right, so let's get things rolling. Let's head to Boise and check in with Jay Hildebrandt tonight, who is with the Republicans at the headquarters there in Boise.
All right, thank you very much, Carol and Todd. I'm here at the Republican headquarters. It's kind of loud here. The band is playing, people are talking, and we have with us Janice McGeehan, who's the candidate for Lieutenant Governor from Idaho Falls. Welcome.
Hi, Jay.
How are you feeling tonight?
I feel great. It's so exciting to be here in Boise, surrounded by all my friends and supporters and family members. It feels really good to have made it this far.
Now, they've already called a few races. We had some victory speeches here from Lawrence Wasden and some others. Not from you yet, because is it too close to call at this point, do you think?
I think so, but according to during the primary, we were watching the returns from the New York Times, and that seems to be the most accurate, which shows both Brad Little and I thought he's right there. He's right there. Shows both of us up so far, but we still have, the rest of the state is reporting in, and it just feels really good to be where we are tonight, and having support from people all over Idaho, having worked really hard and listened to the people across our state.
Any special message to your friends in Idaho Falls watching you right now?
Well, I love Idaho Falls. I love our community. It's where I've spent most of my life. It's a great place to grow up and raise a family and run a business. And for the first time in a long time, we are on the verge of having some real solid representation in the executive branch of government for our part of the state. And I feel very honored, and I'm so happy to have the support of my friends and neighbors back home in Idaho Falls.
Thank you so much, Janice. Appreciate you talking to us. We'll be talking to you more later, I'm sure. And I was just saying, okay, we do have Brad Little right next to us. He's interviewing with another station, so we'll try to catch him a little later for some of his reaction. I'm Jay Hildebrandt reporting live. We're going to go now to Katie Kelleher's, who is with the Democrats. Katie.
Jay, the energy level is still pretty high here at the Democratic Watch Party in Boise. Everyone excitedly watching the results come in. Brad Little and Paulette Jordan still neck and neck with the early numbers. Now, I spoke with Paulette Jordan earlier about her campaign and tonight, and she said she's proud of the work that they've done here in Idaho throughout her campaign. She's especially proud of those voters who say they believe in the government again.
I will tell you that when I meet even people who are retired and have said, I've given up on politics for the last 50 years, and now I believe again. That to me is the most incredible privilege. But because we're seeing this growth in our people, that's something that I feel that when we walk away from this, and which way it ever goes, it's going to be positive because we've already won in so many ways.
Now, more and more candidates are coming out of where they've been watching the results, so we'll be grabbing them throughout the night. So far, again, like I said, the energy is high. We'll see if it stays that way. Live at the Grove Hotel in Boise, I'm Katie Kelleher.
All right, thank you very much, Katie. Kind of exciting. The numbers are slight. I mean, for anybody to try to claim a victory yet might be just a little bit too early.
There we go. What are we looking at? 11% reporting? Yes. So we got a ways.
And it looks like Brad Little's way ahead. But Paulette Jordan will pull out a lot of numbers from northern Idaho, and we wouldn't have those numbers in yet. So it's still a horse race. Speaking of horse races, do we have any numbers on Prop 1? Anything changed since the last time we talked?
Yeah,
you guys have been monitoring.
Yeah,
we're
at 46% yes and 53% no. So
Okay.
it looks like the horse racing is probably going down.
And why would you suppose that is in Idaho?
I
Do you think it's just a pure gambling? Like, we don't gamble. This is a state that doesn't. Do you think it's that?
Or do people understand it?
Well, that's, I think, the real question is people felt like if they supported it, that's going to bring in slot machines, and the opponents basically, I think, convinced people that this isn't just about horse racing. This is about expanding gambling. And of course, you know, the Coeur d'Alene tribes are protecting their turf, given the fact that they have a very successful casino.
So not only was it confusing just face value to begin with, but the attack ads going each direction were confusing.
Absolutely, and you know, $12.5 million spent on this proposition alone, more than the governor's race. So you can see both sides were really dug in on this issue.
And to Eric's point, I watched a national newscast this week that was talking about propositions, and they used the Idaho horse racing one and showed the two ads and said to the voter, do you even know what this means?
What does that mean? Yeah.
Right.
And so it was a difficult thing for a lot of people.
To understand. All right, let's go to Prop 2. Any numbers on Prop 2 that you guys might have in the back room? Please show us what we have. And the last time we checked, people in Idaho are supporting Medicaid expansion. Now, again, this confuses me just a little bit, and where you've served in the legislature, and John, you've worked at the Democratic Party, why is the state so overwhelmingly in favor of Medicaid expansion, and our legislators, our lawmakers, so overwhelmingly against the idea for the last 6 years?
Well, I personally think that it's a party issue. You've got a lot of Republican House and Senate members in Boise who are wanting to prove their conservatism to their constituents, and they want to push back against Obamacare and expansion of Obamacare. And so that's why it hasn't advanced at the legislative level, and I think people were tired of waiting, and so that's why we have this initiative on the ballot for people to consider. And I believe it will pass. I mean, the bottom line is this: we are going to pay one way or another for health care coverage for these 66,000 or so people.
Through the indigent fund, or
exactly,
or we pay it with increased health insurance costs. Those of us that do have insurance are going to pick it up.
We get hit a number of times with insurance costs because we all pay, different ways. Even the cost of a consumer good goes up because of the cost of insurance. And healthcare costs now are 17% of our GDP, which is a ridiculously high number. And the truth is, I think what happened was when McCain did that thumbs down in the well of the Senate and Obamacare survived, then the rules of the game have stayed steady. So now some of these states know that if we pass Medicaid expansion, then we can get some of the benefits from the state. The city of Idaho Falls, we know that we're going to benefit to about $2 million for our ambulances with Medicaid expansion.
Because of this pass.
Yeah, and that number is actually just magnified even further when you talk about all the doctors' offices, all the hospitals that will benefit from this. So the Idaho medical community was behind this, the business community was behind this, and the opposition was not really anything substantive, right? We didn't see a
Idaho
very,
Freedom,
yeah.
I forgot the last word of their
Foundation.
name.
Yeah.
Wayne Hoffman's group, yeah.
Freedom Foundation.
Yeah.
So the big question is, when this passes, what are the legislators going to do?
Yeah, they really have to come up with some money, right? And that's really going to be where the rubber meets the road, and they're going to have to find it somewhere.
And what happens if you have a lawmaker who represents a district that voted this down?
That was on the record saying no to this.
Yeah, it puts them in a very difficult spot. I mean, yeah, people could say, well, Idaho voters passed this, but maybe their constituents were against it.
Yeah, I agree with that. It puts some people in some weird spots, but I think overall, we had a large surplus come in from our tax revenues, and I think there's the money to do this, and the federal government's paying 90% of this. So, we don't have to come up with as much as some people might think. And there's also an economic benefit that comes back in taxes back to the state as well. So.
You mean the federal government that's $19 trillion in debt?
Or 20 trillion, whichever you're.
Oh, chump change, Eric, come
And
on.
it's 21. And it's 22. Okay.
Let's check in with Jay Hildebrand in Boise. He has the Lieutenant Governor, possibly soon to be Governor Brad Little with him.
Okay, I think we're close. Are we on? Okay. It's very loud here at the Republican headquarters. People talking up on the stage. People out here.
Bells ringing, raffles going off.
I know.
I even understand there's election going on today.
I think there is. And how are you feeling about it?
I feel good. Yeah, somebody said the race was over. I says it can't be. The people in the North Idaho just got through voting. I kind of reject that notion that we're getting a little later on now, but somebody said they called it 1 minute after the polls were closed, and that I think that's disrespectful of those voters up there.
Well, the networks called it, right at that time, and I heard it
think
cheer.
the networks told us Hillary Clinton was president. Did I miss something there?
You never know. But anyway, you're confident about tonight.
Oh, we feel good, yeah. But we're still not taking it for granted until today's the day. We candidates have been talking for a long time. Today's the day the voters, when they speak, and that's what people ought to be paying attention to.
If you do win, what's the first thing you're going to do as governor?
Well, I won't be governor until January, but you got to put a budget together. You got to start putting together your staff. You got to start. People want to know what you're going to do for staff. We've got to look at the initiatives that are out there. Kind of depends upon what happens on Prop 2. Yeah. That's going to have a variation. So there's no shortage of work to do.
One last question. I know that this is a state race, but they've called the House for the Democrats now, which will change things around there. How will that impact Idaho?
Well, it won't. I mean, obviously in your part of the state, Congressman Simpson as chairman has had such a great positive impact in Idaho, but I believe the respect for him will carry over if he's in the minority also, but it'll have an impact. Mike has done great things for the state of Idaho, and we're going to miss part of that. So.
Thank you so much for talking to us. Appreciate it. Jay Hildebrandt reporting live. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Jay. Let me look at the numbers just one more time.
Yeah.
And that kind of gives us an idea where we are. It's still so early in the game, but I think I will say I appreciate the Lieutenant Governor being so generous in saying, I don't want predictions until all the numbers are in. Everybody gets to speak, and that's a class act thing to say.
Respectful to his candidate.
Yeah, very
respectful to Northern Idaho, which is in the Pacific time zone.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a nice thing for him to say. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back with more.